Okay, so the topic of this lecture is the basal ganglia or basal nuclei. So these are the collection of nuclei that are located deeper than the cortex of the brain and cortex of the cerebrum, I should say, and it is located in the cerebrum, diencephalon, and all the way to the brainstem, so all three locations. If you look at it in this image, this is looking laterally, so you can see the caudate nucleus. It's a C-shaped nucleus. Ventral to that, you have the nucleus accumbens, and also you can see the putamen, and they are connected to each other. The lateral ventricle is located more medially, and this is the coronal radiata. This is where the fibers are connecting cerebral cortex with the other parts of brain. You can also see subthalamic nucleus, and that is located below the thalamus. On the medial view, this is the lateral ventricle. You can see the lateral ventricle, and on the background, you see the caudate nucleus. So caudate nucleus is located more laterally into the lateral ventricle. And you can also see the subthalamic nucleus here. This is the third ventricle. So at the background, this is the area that is thalamus located. This is the interthalamic adhesion. And this thing that you see, this structure that you see, that is the putamen. Nucleus accumbens should be around this area. And also Substantia nigra, that is around this area. So it's not shown in this image, but it's around this area. So look at the different parts of the basal nuclei or basal ganglia. One is called caudate nucleus. It's a C-shaped nucleus. It's lateral to the lateral ventricle, and the head of it is around this area. It's located in the floor of the inferior horn of lateral ventricle. Ventrally to that is nucleus accumbens is located there. Putamen is this structure that you can see. This is the putamen, and that is the most lateral part of the basal nuclei in the cerebrum, and embryonically it is connected with the caudate nucleus, so together they are called striatum. This is why the name striatum is there, and striatum is the main input for the basal ganglia. Globus pallidus is located medial to the putamen. So this is the globus pallidus, these greenish structures that you see. This is the globus pallidus, and there's two parts in it. The lateral part is called external globus pallidus, and the medial part is called the internal globus pallidus. Globus pallidus is located between thalamus and putamen, and they are separated from thalamus by internal, separated from the thalamus by internal capsule. And the globus pallidus is the main output for the basal ganglia. Putamen and globus pallidus together is called lentiform nucleus because it looks like a lens when you cut it. So that's how the name came from. Nucleus accumbens is located in the ventral part of the striatum. It contains a lot of dopaminergic neurons, and that's why it's part of the limbic system and the reward circuitry, and it is connected with other parts of the basal ganglia and also with the frontal lobe. Subthalamic nucleus, there is two of them, one on each side, and this is biconvex nuclei located below the thalamus. This is a thalamus, this is a third ventricle separating the two thalami. And normally it is under tonic inhibition by the substantia nigra, but the subthalamic nucleus itself is sending excitatory neurons or excitatory neurotransmitters, and the neurotransmitter is glutamen. So that sends excitatory neurons to substantia nigra and also the internal part of globus pallidus. Substantia nigra is located in the midbrain. This is the midbrain, and this is the substantia nigra. This area is highly pigmented. That's why it's called substantia nigra. And this is the cerebral peduncles that carry sensory and motor fibers. This is the red nucleus, if you guys remember it. Cerebral aqueduct, periaqueductal gray area, and these are the colliculi. Pars compacta contains dopamine, and that dopamine is connected with the striatum. It may carry excitatory or inhibitory neurons, depending on the type of the receptor, and also it carries inhibitory neuron to subthalamic nucleus. Pars compacta contains GABA and is connected with a motor part of the thalamus, and also it connects to superior colliculi, so it inhibits some of the movements, saccadic movements of the eye. And the coronal cross-section of the brain, if you can look at it, let's start from the peripheral area. So this is the cortex of the brain, and this is the white matter. So this coronal radiate is around this area. This is the longitudinal sulcus, and this is the corpus callosum. These two are the lateral ventricles and separated from each other by the septum pellucidum. And now the basal nuclei itself, or themselves I should say, so these are the caudate nucleus, so lateral to the lateral ventricles here. You come down here and you can see the thalamus. Thalamus is not part of the basal nuclei, it's part of the diencephalon, but not basal nuclei. But there's a lot of connection between the two. And then you have the internal capsule. This is the internal capsule on each side. And you have the lentiform nucleus. So Putamen is located laterally, and Globus pallidus is located more medially. And the lentiform nucleus together is separated from the thalamus by the internal capsule. This is the internal capsule. And lateral to the putamen, you can see insula, and this is the lateral sulcus there. Below the thalamus, you can see the subthalamic nucleus here. Hippocampus is in this area, so it's in the medial part of the temporal, low part of the limbic system. This is hippocampus, and this area can also, difficult to see it here, but amygdala is around this area. This is a transverse section of the brain. Again, the cortex of the brain. So this is the white area, white fibers, and this is the longitudinal sulcus or fissure. And then you have the lateral ventricle. These are the lateral ventricles, and septum pellucidum is here. Caudate nucleus located lateral to the lateral ventricle, and here you have the internal capsule that contains this here is lateral to that is the putamen, then globus pallidus, so the lentiform nucleus. Globus pallidus is around this area, and the putamen is more lateral to that. And this is the lateral, this is the insula, and lateral sulcus is here. This is insula and lateral sulcus around here. Then medial to that, you have the thalamus in this area. This is the thalamus, so this is the internal capsule, thalamus, and the internal capsule is separating the lentiform nucleus from the thalamus. Here is the third ventricle that are separating the two thalami on each side.
Thank you for watching this video. I regularly upload new videos, so please consider subscribing to the channel. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up.